So Joe Flacco was asked yesterday what it takes to win in the playoffs.
Everybody puts so much thought into what it takes to win these games, and it's doing the simple things the best you can and just playing good fundamental football. And this is the time of the year where that stuff shows up. You know, obviously there's going to be plays made, and guys are going to make a name for themselves that, something's going to happen over the next 5 weeks that we're going to remember forever. And those are the things that you kind of see. But it's just about playing fundamental physical football and playing a full 60 minutes. And no matter what's going on at the moment, being able to keep the blinders on and keep moving forward.
So two things about that, Tim. Mention the next 5 weeks. They're planning on a pretty deep playoff run. And the other thing is it's not getting too carried away with anything other than do the little things right.
Yeah, and I think that's, how you always win and lose in the NFL. It's the fine margins. It's the attention to detail. Who does the simple things better? Who doesn't commit penalties? Who doesn't, commit self-inflicted mistakes? Who doesn't have those things pop up, is a team that's going to win the game, especially for the Browns when they're going to probably have to play at least 2 road games, maybe 3 to get to if they want to get to the Super Bowl. But, Joe Flacco, hearing him talk, obviously he's a guy who's been there and done that. He's gone to a Super Bowl. He's made a couple deep playoff runs as well. He knows exactly what it takes to get there. Even if he hadn't been in the playoffs in a while, you still don't forget those sorts of things. This is also a team that's still got a handful of guys that were around that 2020 playoff run. Myles Garrett, David Njoku, Joel Bitonio, among others. They were there 3 years ago when the Browns knocked off the Steelers in Pittsburgh and went into Kansas City. And, who knows what would have happened in that game if they were able to get that 3rd down stop on Chad Henne or that 4th down pass breakup on that play to Tyreek Hill. Who knows what kind of happens in that game. But, this is the time of the year, especially early on, when you trust your veterans. And there's no reason for this team not to trust in Joe Flacco the way he's played the last 4 games.
Yeah, the other thing is there's a little bit of a different attitude with this team. They expected to be here, and they expect to win. It's a very subtle thing, but you hear it pretty much across the board.
Yeah, and that's kind of the approach they've had to take this year with all the injuries. It's one thing to say next man up. It's another to be about next man up. And through all the injuries they've had, to still be at this point where they're 11-6, going into Houston on Saturday. When you can win all these games despite all these different guys being out of the lineup, despite losing your top 3 offensive tackles, despite, being out at one point your top 3 safeties and needing to rely on 2 UDFAs, to start at safety, being out without Nick Chubb for almost the entire season, to still be 11-6, I'm sure there's got to be a lot of confidence in this team that if they can overcome those things, that there's nothing that they can't handle. It's just a matter of go on and executing when it matters.